He didn't mean to kick the boy. The shape had been buried under hay, too still, too quiet. Then it moved. A hand shot up, thin, shaking, grabbing at nothing. "Don't," the voice cracked. "Don't wake him." Cole froze, boots still hovering. There were two of them. The smaller one lay curled deeper in the hay, eyes shut, breath shallow. The older boy pushed himself up on one elbow, body bent like it expected another hit. "We'll go," he said fast. "Just give us a second." Cole didn't answer. He studied the boy instead. Dirt packed into his skin. Lips split. Eyes too old for his face. "You're in my stable," Cole said. "We know." "You got a name?" The boy hesitated. No. Cole let out a slow breath. "That's not how names work." "It is tonight." The smaller one coughed, a dry, hollow sound that scraped through the dark. The older boy flinched and reached back without looking, hand finding the other's shoulder. "Easy," he whispered. "I got you." Cole shifted his weight. The barn smelled like dust and old sweat and something sour that didn't belong. "You sick?" he asked. "No, he is." Cole nodded once. He turned, walked 2 steps, then stopped. Behind him, hay rustled. "You're leaving," the boy said. Cole didn't look back. "Yeah." Silence stretched. "Figures." Cole's jaw tightened. He reached for the door. "Everyone does," the boy added, quieter now. Cole stopped again. The words sat wrong. Too close to something he kept buried. He turned back. The boys hadn't moved. The older one watched him like a cornered animal. "You steal anything?" Cole asked. "No, lie again and I'll throw you out myself." "We didn't steal." Cole studied him another second. Then he walked past them, deeper into the barn. He grabbed a sack, tore it open, came back. He dropped it in front of them. Bread rolled out. The boys didn't touch it. "What is it?" "Food." "Why?" Cole shrugged. "Because you're here." The older boy stared at the bread, then at Cole. "Poison?" "No, people don't just give things." "I'm not people." A long pause. The younger boy stirred again, whispering something broken. The older one grabbed a piece of bread, held it tight. He didn't eat. "You gonna call them?" he asked. Cole shook his head. "No, Sheriff." The boy's shoulders dropped, just a little. Cole leaned against the post, arms folded. He watched them like he didn't trust himself not to look away. "You can stay till morning," he said. The older boy looked up. "Then what?" Cole didn't answer right away. Outside, the wind pushed against the walls. Inside, nothing moved. "We'll see," he said finally. The boy nodded once. He broke the bread, handed half back without looking. The smaller one took it in his sleep. Cole watched that, something tightening in his chest. He exhaled slow. Didn't move. Didn't leave. The barn settled around them, quiet but not empty. Cole stayed where he was, eyes open, listening to their breathing, knowing anything, and neither would he. Cole didn't sleep. He watched them instead. The older boy stayed awake too, eyes half open, tracking every small movement. The bread was gone by dawn, not eaten fast, just steady, like they were afraid it might vanish. Cole pushed off the post and stepped closer. The boy stiffened. "Relax," Cole said. "I ain't kicking you." "Didn't say you would." "You thought it." The boy didn't answer. The smaller one coughed again, worse this time. Cole crouched beside him. "He's burning." "He's fine." "He's not." The older boy's jaw tightened. "We've seen worse." Cole reached out, slow. The boy flinched before the hand even got close. Cole stopped midair. "I'm not hurting him." "That's what they say." Cole pulled his hand back. He stood up, turned away, then came back with a tin cup and a small bottle. "Water," he said, holding it out. The boy didn't take it. "Drink first," the boy said. Cole stared at him, then took a sip. "Satisfied?" The boy nodded once and took the cup. He lifted the younger boy's head gently, careful, like he'd done it 100 times. "Slow," he whispered. The kid drank without waking. Cole watched in silence. "You got a name for him?" Cole asked. "Yeah." "And?" The boy shook his head. "Not yours." Cole let out a short breath. "You don't trust easy." "You shouldn't either." Cole nodded, like he agreed. He stepped back and leaned against the stall door. "Town's a mile out," he said. "Got a doctor?" The boy's head snapped up. "No town." "Kid needs help." "No town." "Why?" The boy didn't hesitate. "Because they look." "Who?" "Everyone." Cole studied him. "That's not an answer." "It is here." The younger one stirred again, whispering something soft, almost like a name. The older boy hushed him quick. "Hey. I got you. I got you." Cole felt something shift in his chest again, something old and heavy. "You run far?" he asked. "Far enough." "From what?" The boy looked at him, eyes flat now. "From people like you." Cole raised a brow. "You don't know me. You got land. Stable. Food. That's enough." Cole nodded slowly. "Fair." He pushed off the door and walked a few steps, then stopped. "You can stay another day," he said. The boy blinked. "Why?" Cole shrugged. "Don't like burying kids." The words landed hard. The boy swallowed. "We're not dying. Not today." Silence stretched again, but it felt different now. Less sharp. The boy broke it first. "What do you want?" he asked. Cole glanced back. "Nothing." "That's not real." "It is for me." The boy studied him long, like he was trying to find the trick. "People don't just help." "I already told you," Cole said. "I'm not people." The younger boy coughed again, weaker this time. The older one held him closer. Cole watched, then nodded toward the hay. "Let him rest," he said. "I'll bring more water." He turned and walked out of the stall, boots heavy on the wood. Behind him, the boy's voice came, quieter now. "Hey." Cole stopped but didn't turn. "What?" A pause. Then, softer, almost unsure. "Thank you." Cole stood there a second longer, then nodded once. Even though the boy couldn't see it, the older boy watched Cole move around the stable, muscles tight, every motion careful, as if the man carried more than just the weight of his body. "You always keep it quiet?" he asked, voice low. Cole didn't look up. "Depends on who's asking." "I am." Cole glanced at him, expression unreadable. "Names first," he said. The boy hesitated. "Don't matter." "I asked first," Cole said. "Call me Jace." Cole nodded slowly. "Fine." "And him?" The smaller one coughed again. "He's Micah," Jace said. "He's sleeping." Cole shifted, leaning on a post. "You're not telling me why you're out here." Jace's shoulders went rigid. "You don't need to know." "I think I do." Jace's eyes narrowed. "No sheriff," he spat. "What?" "No law. No names. No questions." "You hear?" Cole's jaw tightened. "That's a lot of rules. Rules keep us alive." Silence settled. The hay smelled sour and sharp, mixed with the metallic tang of blood or sweat from the previous day. Cole studied Jace's face, the sharp angles, the way he kept one hand near Micah. "You been running long?" he asked. As long as we can. From who? Jace's gaze flicked past him, out the half-open barn doors. People like them. Cole shifted closer, boots squeaking on the floor. You think I'm one of them? Jace stared hard. You're a man with land. Food. You answer to no one. Could be anyone. I'm not anyone, Cole said flat. You don't know me. I know enough, Jace said. You stay. Feed us. You look like you might kill if you have to. Cole exhaled slowly, hand rubbing the back of his neck. I've done worse. Then you'll understand. You can't leave. Not tonight. I was going to. You're not. The words fell between them like stones. Cole stared at the younger boy, Micah, who stirred in sleep, whimpering slightly. Jace brushed a hand over his back, soothing. He's got a fever, Jace said. Burning all night. I see that. Cole crouched beside the boy, hand hovering. Jace pulled back slightly, defensive. Easy, he said. Don't touch. Cole nodded, stayed still. You ever take care of someone that's all yours? He asked quietly. No, Jace said. You don't know how. Cole leaned back against the post, eyes narrow. I do. Then you'll understand, Jace said. We're not leaving. We can't. Not yet. Cole's mouth tightened. I don't have to stay. You do. The older boy's voice, hard and certain, carried a weight Cole hadn't expected. Outside, a crow called, sharp against the quiet morning. Cole looked toward the door, then back at the two boys. You're making me do it, he muttered. Do what? Stay. Good, Jace said. Then stay. Help him. Help me. Cole exhaled slow, finally moving closer, setting a tin of water on the floor. Micah stirred again, eyes half-lidded. Drink, Cole said. The small boy took the cup without protest. Jace watched, chest rising and falling. You trust me yet? Cole asked. Not fully, Jace said. But enough for now. Cole studied him, the tension in his muscles easing fractionally. Enough, he said. Jace nodded. We're not much. But we're ours. For tonight, Cole said. He leaned against the doorframe, listening to their breathing, feeling the shift in the air. He didn't leave. Not yet. Not ever, if it came to it. The stable smelled like dust, sweat, and hope, fragile as glass, but it was enough. They stayed there together, quiet but aware, each guarding the other. And in that silence, something like trust began to take root. The older boy rolled up his sleeve slowly, revealing a pale, angry mark that cut across his wrist, a burn that gleamed like fresh iron in the dim stable light. Cole froze mid-step, eyes narrowing. What is that? He asked, voice low. Jace didn't answer at once. He let the silence stretch, long enough for the smaller one to stir in sleep. They said it means we belong, he finally said. Cole's hand twitched, almost unconsciously toward his own wrist. Belong, to who? The boy's jaw tightened. Him, Jace whispered, almost afraid to speak it. Cole shifted back, feeling the air grow heavier, every shadow in the barn seeming sharper, closer. He? Cole asked slowly. Who? Jace's eyes darted to Micah, curled in the hay, pale and coughing softly. The man. With the land. The badge. Cole's lips pressed into a thin line. The symbol of ownership, control, dominance, it wasn't new to him, not really. He had seen it before. On others. On himself. He looked at Jace again. You've been marked before? Jace nodded, eyes flat. Since before I can remember. Him or his kind. Cole exhaled, voice low. You shouldn't be wearing that. Nobody should. I can't take it off, Jace said. It's not just skin. It's everything they made us. Cole's fists clenched, then relaxed. I've seen men brand others. Didn't turn out well for them. Jace studied him, skepticism written sharp across his young face. What makes you different? Cole's gaze hardened. I've walked places you wouldn't want me to. Seen what comes from leaving marks on flesh and soul. Micah stirred again, groaning softly. Jace leaned down, brushing a hand over his back. He's burning again, Jace said, voice rough. Cole moved closer. I can help him, he said. I'm not letting him die on my floor. You might not understand, Jace said, defensive, standing in front of his brother like a shield. Cole held his hands up. Then teach me. Jace hesitated, eyes flicking back to Micah. They took more than food, he said finally. They take who you are. They mark it. Burn it. Claim it. Cole felt the words sink, the weight of them like bricks in the air. He lowered himself to his knees beside Micah, checking the boy's forehead. Burning fever. Not poison, he muttered. You've been running too long, Cole said quietly. Yeah, Jace admitted. We can't stop. Cole rubbed the boy's arm, steadying him, hands large, certain, gentle. Jace didn't step back. He watched Cole work, suspicion mixed with a hint of relief. Why help us? Jace asked, voice tight. Because it's wrong. And I can't walk away, Cole said. You don't just walk away from what you see. The stable was silent except for Micah's shallow breathing and the occasional creak of the rafters. Cole looked at Jace, studying the tension and fear, and finally said, I'm not leaving. Not tonight. Jace blinked, a flicker of something almost like trust crossing his face. Then you stay, he said, quietly, almost a command. Cole nodded. I stay. The mark on Jace's wrist caught the weak morning light, pale against dirt-streaked skin. It was a warning, a memory, and a symbol. Cole's eyes lingered on it, heavy with understanding. We start here, he said, voice low. We keep him alive first. Jace let out a soft breath. The tension in his shoulders eased slightly. Yeah, he said. That's all we can do. Cole glanced at both of them, a slow, steady line of resolve settling over his face. The brand would not break them tonight. He would see to that. And for the first time, the stable Cole stepped toward the door, boots heavy on the worn wood, hand brushing against the rough frame. He could feel the weight of the boy's eyes on him. You're leaving, Jace said, voice tight. Cole didn't answer at once. I was going to, he muttered finally. Then don't, Jace said flat, shoulders squared. The smaller one stirred in sleep, soft cough cutting the quiet. Cole glanced down. He's still burning, he said. I can handle it, Jace snapped, then softened, hand brushing Micah's forehead. Cole shook his head. I'm not leaving him. Jace's jaw tightened. You don't have to. Cole turned slowly, studying the two of them. I should walk, he said. You should've, Jace replied sharply. Cole's eyes flicked to the brand on Jace's wrist. He could feel the story of the boy's life pressed into him in that moment. I know what you've been through, he said quietly. Then you'll understand why you can't go, Jace said. The wind rattled the stable walls. A crow cried somewhere far off. Cole exhaled, feeling the old pull of responsibility, the part of him he'd tried to lock away. You're making me stay, he said softly. Yeah, Jace said. And you will. Not for us. For him. The smaller one whined, shifting slightly. Cole crouched beside him, hands hovering but careful. Easy, he murmured. Jace stood firm. You see? You can't walk away. You never could. Cole ran a hand through his hair, teeth clenched. I didn't plan this. You never do, Jace replied. But you act. Cole's eyes met Jace's, measuring, searching. I'll stay, he said finally, voice low. I'll see it through. Jace's body relaxed, a fraction. That's enough for now, he said. No promises past tonight. Cole nodded. Fair. Silence filled the stable, thick and tense. He looked at Micah again. The boy's breathing was uneven, shallow. Cole rubbed his back, steady, soothing. Jace moved closer, brushing hair from his brother's face. "He's fragile," Jace said. "I know," Cole replied. "But he's still here." Outside, the wind tugged at the barn doors, the world beyond the stable edges dark and uncertain. Cole glanced at them both, feeling the fragile tether that tied them together. He could leave, turn his back, disappear into the distance, but he couldn't. Not now. Not ever if he wanted to hold on to the part of himself that mattered. "I'll get him water," Cole said, rising slowly. "Don't drown him," Jace muttered, voice sharper than usual, eyes wary. Cole smirked faintly. "I know what I'm doing." The boys exchanged a glance. Jace let out a low sigh. "Fine. You stay. That's all that matters tonight." Cole moved quietly, fetching a tin from the corner. The smaller boy's eyes fluttered open, barely registering, and Cole knelt to offer the water. "Drink," he said softly. Micah took the cup with trembling hands. Cole watched him drink, steadying the boy with gentle patience. Jace's eyes softened slightly, the wall around him cracking just enough to let a trace of trust slip through. "You're not leaving," Jace said quietly. "No," Cole replied. "I'm not leaving." The stable settled into silence, the three of them bound by need, fear, and fragile understanding. Cole leaned back against a post, hands on his knees, watching over them. The fire of responsibility burned slow and steady. Outside, the wind whistled through the cracks in the barn, but inside, for the first time, there was a place that felt like it belonged to them. The wind carried a strange sound through the stable, low and hollow, as if the old well behind the barn was whispering secrets only the desperate could hear. Micah stirred in his sleep, murmuring something indistinct. Jace's hand went to his shoulder immediately. "Easy," he whispered. "It's nothing." Cole listened, unease crawling up his spine. He stepped closer to the wall where the old well yawned dark and silent during the day. Now, it seemed alive. "You hear that?" he asked. Jace's eyes flicked toward the shadowed hole. "Don't go near it." "I'm just listening," Cole said, voice calm but low. The whispering seemed to coil around the rafters, curling like smoke. Micah whined softly, twisting against the hay. Jace knelt beside him, brushing hair from the boy's damp forehead. "It's nothing but wind," Jace said, though his voice held a tremor. Cole shook his head. "That ain't just wind. Something else down there." Jace's jaw clenched. Don't start." Cole crouched near the edge, peering into the darkness. The shadows seemed to move, almost like shapes, breathing. "Someone's down there," he said quietly. "No one's down there." Jace's voice snapped. "Yes," Cole insisted. "I hear them. They know my name," the smaller boy whispered in a cough, half awake. Jace's hand clamped over Micah's mouth to stifle further sound. "Quiet," he hissed. Cole straightened, eyes scanning the stable, ears straining. The whispers seemed closer now, as if the well had drawn them in. "You hear it too?" he asked Jace. The older boy nodded slowly, lips tight. "I do," he admitted. "But it's not real." "Not really." "It's real enough to him," Cole said, voice low. He crouched beside the boys, his presence heavy, protective. "We're not leaving. Not tonight." Jace's gaze flicked up at him. "Why do you care so much?" Cole shrugged slightly. "Because he's a kid. And because he stopped, the words thick, hard to force out. "You remind me," he said finally. Jace stared, confusion and suspicion flickering across his face. "Of what?" "Of someone I lost. Someone I should have saved." Micah whimpered, and Jace pressed closer, wrapping him protectively. Cole's eyes returned to the well, darkness pooling like ink. "This place, it keeps secrets," he muttered. "More than anyone should bear." The wind rattled the barn doors, and the whispering seemed to echo, stretching through the rafters, winding around the hay bales, pressing against their bones. Jace shivered, voice tight. I don't like it. Cole nodded. Neither do I. But hiding doesn't help. Facing it does. Facing what? Jace asked. Cole looked at him, calm but fierce. What's down there? What's coming? Who's been marking you boys all along? The smaller one coughed again, weak but persistent. Cole rubbed his back. We keep him alive first. Then we find out the rest. Jace's hand lingered on Micah's arm. It calls to him, he muttered. Calls to who? Cole asked. Mercy, Jace said quietly. The name rolled in the air like a stone dropped in still water. Cole felt it hit him deep, memory sharpening edges he hadn't touched in years. Mercy, he whispered. The well went quiet for a second, then a low moan seemed to answer from the darkness below. Cole swallowed, feeling the old fear stir, the kind that comes from knowing the land remembers wrongs no one has paid for. We're not alone, he said, voice steady. Jace's shoulders tensed, eyes wide. I know, he whispered. Then we stay, Cole said. Together. Nothing else matters tonight. Micah shifted, small hands grasping Jace's shirt. Cole glanced between them, seeing the fragile, trembling trust forming in the dark stable. The whispers faded, but their presence lingered, like smoke in the rafters, reminding him that some things aren't gone, only waiting. Cole stayed crouched by the well longer than he should have, listening to the silence that followed the whispers. Jace didn't move at first, his eyes locked on the darkness like it could bite him if he blinked. Her name? Cole asked quietly, voice low enough for Micah to sleep through. Jace's fingers tightened around the smaller boy's arm. Mercy, he said finally. Cole's chest tightened at the name. He hadn't heard it in years, not since the day she disappeared into the woods beyond his land, never to return. Mercy, he repeated, letting it taste bitter on his tongue. Jace's eyes flicked toward him, suspicion and curiosity warring across his face. You know her? Cole nodded slowly, jaw tight. A long time ago. Then why didn't you save her? Jace's voice cracked, the accusation sharp but barely audible. Cole looked away, toward the hay-strewn floor, the scent of dust and sweat mixing with something darker, older, like memory itself. I tried, he said finally. I couldn't. The weight of it pressed against his chest, tight and relentless. She was gone before I even got there. Jace swallowed, eyes wide. You weren't supposed to be able to lose her, he said, voice low, trembling. Cole rubbed his forehead, trying to push the memory down where it belonged. Sometimes things slip through your hands. Doesn't make you any less guilty. Jace pressed closer to Micah, who stirred softly, whimpering. She called? Cole asked, voice softer now. Jace hesitated. Sometimes. At night. Sometimes I think I hear her. Mercy, Cole muttered again. The well seemed to hum faintly in the corner of the stable, as if acknowledging the name. He shivered, a slow chill crawling along his spine. She was important to you, Jace said, breaking the silence. Important? Cole looked at the older boy, eyes shadowed. Everything I had, I trusted her with. And she was gone in a heartbeat. Jace nodded, taking it in, holding Micah closer. We all got people like that, he muttered. People we should have protected. Cole exhaled slowly, swallowing hard. Yeah. We do. Outside, the wind rattled the barn doors, carrying a low, mournful cry that sounded almost like a voice calling a name. Cole's hands rested on his knees, heavy and tense. I stayed here, he said finally, voice low, because losing someone, it changes you. Makes you look twice at anyone who needs it. Jace didn't speak, just nodded slowly, understanding in the way only someone who had lost and feared loss could. Micah coughed softly, smaller than before, and Jace brushed back his damp hair. We'll keep him alive, Cole said, his tone firm now. And maybe we won't fail this time. Jace's lips pressed into a thin line, a small flicker of trust breaking through. Maybe, he said quietly. We'll start with that. The stable settled into a hush, the echoes of Mercy's name lingering in the rafters, mixing with the scent of hay, dust, and sweat. Cole glanced at the boys, feeling the thread of responsibility tighten around him, pulling him closer to a past he'd tried to bury, and to a future he couldn't yet see. "We start here," he whispered, more to himself than anyone else. Jace's hand lingered on Micah's shoulder, steady and firm, as if promising something neither of them could yet name. The wind outside whispered through the cracks, low and persistent, carrying a memory that refused to die. Cole exhaled, shoulders heavy but resolute. "We start here," he repeated, this time louder, letting the words anchor them all. For the first time, the stable felt less like a hiding place and more like a beginning. The boys shifted in the hay as the first light of morning crept through the slats of the stable, pale and sharp. Jace's eyes were fixed on Cole, his hands restless, fidgeting with the hem of his shirt. "We didn't come here just 'cause we were hungry," he said finally, voice low and quick. Cole leaned against the stallpost, arms crossed, waiting. "I know," he said. Jace blinked. "You do?" Cole's jaw tightened. "I can see it in the way you guard him. Not just hunger. Something else chasing you." Jace glanced at Micah, who lay pale and coughing, tiny shoulders shaking. "We were running," he admitted. "From him." "Who?" Cole asked, tone careful but sharp. Jace's hands clenched. "He owns the land. He owns the law. He owns kids like us." Cole frowned. "Owns?" Jace's voice cracked. "Takes. Marks. Says you belong to him. Anyone he chooses." Micah shifted weakly, groaning, and Jace pressed closer, hand over his chest. Cole's stomach tightened. "And you've seen him?" Jace nodded. "More than once. His men, too. He stopped, swallowing hard. "They took more than food," he said finally. Cole's eyes narrowed, a chill running through him. "What do you mean?" Jace's voice trembled slightly. "They don't just feed you scraps. They brand you. Burn you. Claim you. And if you fight, if you try to run, you don't come back." Cole's lips pressed into a thin line. "How long have you been running?" Jace's gaze dropped. "Since they started. Too long to count. Every town, every yard, every stable, we've learned to hide, to be nothing." Cole stepped closer, boots creaking on the floor. "And you came here?" "We didn't have a choice," Jace said, voice sharp again, eyes bright with fear. "We were starving. And we thought maybe," he trailed off, hands shaking. Cole crouched beside Micah, checking his fevered forehead. "He's weak," Cole said softly. "I can't let him die like this." Jace pressed a hand over his brother's chest, steadying him. "You don't understand," he whispered. "If they find us, it's worse than death." Cole looked up, catching the older boy's eyes. "Then we fight before they get the chance." Jace shook his head, biting his lip. "You don't get it. They mark you. Take your name. Your hands. Your skin. They make sure you're theirs. And I can't let them have him." Cole felt the air thicken with tension, the weight of unspoken horrors pressing down. "Then I help you," he said simply, voice low but firm. Jace swallowed hard, unsure whether to trust him. "Why?" "Because I've seen men like that before. I know what they do. And I can't walk away." Jace's shoulders dropped fractionally. "Then you won't," he said quietly. Cole nodded. "No," he said. "I stay. Not just tonight. I stay while I can." The stable held its breath around them, the shadows deepening, the morning light brushing over hay and dust. Outside, the wind pushed through the cracks, carrying the faint smell of smoke and wood. Inside, a fragile alliance had formed, one born of fear, necessity, and the barest trace of trust. "We're marked," Jace muttered. "But not today," Cole said. The small boy whimpered softly, and Cole brushed his hand along his back, steadying him. "We start with him," Cole said, voice low. "Nothing else matters yet." Jace nodded, quiet, the tension in his body easing slightly. The two boys and the cowboy shared the stable's silence, listening to the creak of the rafters and the whisper of the wind, bound together by danger, desperation, and the faint hope that someone might finally keep them safe. The sheriff arrived just after noon, boots crunching on the dry ground outside, slow and deliberate. Cole didn't hear him at first, busy with Micah, wiping the sweat from the boy's brow. Then the door creaked open, and the man stepped inside, broad-shouldered, badge glinting faintly in the muted light. "Seen two boys?" the sheriff asked, voice smooth, practiced. Cole didn't flinch. "Seen a lot of things," he said, voice flat. Jace stiffened, standing protectively over Micah. "We're just resting," Cole added. The sheriff's eye swept the barn, slow and calculating, lingering on the hay, the stable walls, the boys. "Resting, huh?" he said, voice calm, almost too calm. "You live around here?" Cole nodded. "All my life." "Funny," the sheriff said, taking a slow step forward, hands resting lightly on his hips. "I hear people running, children hiding." "You know anything about that?" Cole met his gaze evenly. "I hear stories." The older boy shifted, eyes sharp, body tense. "They weren't hiding," Cole said. "They were hungry." "That's it." The sheriff smiled, slow and knowing. "Hunger's dangerous," he said. "Makes people do desperate things." Jace's hand went to Micah's shoulder. "You'll leave them alone?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. The sheriff tilted his head, eyes glinting. "Do I look like the kind of man who hurts kids?" Cole's jaw tightened. "You do when it suits you," he said, voice low. The sheriff's smile widened just enough to be threatening. "Suit me," he said. "I make sure things stay in order. That's all." Micah whimpered softly, stirring against Jace. Cole crouched, brushing his hand over the boy's back, steadying him. The sheriff's eyes lingered on the small form, unblinking. "You care for him?" he asked. "I do," Cole said. "You shouldn't," the sheriff said, voice calm. "They're not yours." Cole stood slowly, eyes locked with the sheriff's. "They're not anyone's to take," he said. "Not anymore." The sheriff tilted his head again, casual, almost bored. "Funny. That's not how the land works. Or the law. Or people like me." Jace tightened his grip on Micah. "We don't belong to anyone," Cole said, stepping between the sheriff and the boys. "You got a problem with that?" The sheriff let the words hang in the air, then exhaled slowly. "No problem," he said, though his smile didn't fade. "I just wanted to check. Make sure everything's proper." Cole didn't move. "Everything's proper," he said. The sheriff studied him a long moment, then tilted his hat back slightly and nodded once. "Proper," he repeated. He walked toward the door, slow, deliberate, and stopped. "Names," he said. "I'd like them. Just for record." Cole shook his head. "No names. Not for you." The sheriff's smile lingered longer than it should have. "No names," he said. "Interesting choice." Outside, the wind rattled the barn doors. The shadow of the sheriff stretched long across the hay, calm but heavy, a warning that the land remembered who held power. Cole's eyes followed him as he disappeared from the doorway, the tension thick and lingering. Jace exhaled quietly, hands still pressed on Micah. "He's watching," Jace said. "Always." Cole nodded, voice low. "Then we make sure they don't get another chance." The stable settled back into silence, but the weight of authority, of rules bent and broken, lingered in every corner. They had survived the first test. But Cole knew the real danger had only just stepped into the light. Cole stood in the doorway, boots scuffing the dirt floor, listening as the wind carried a faint rustle through the dry grass outside. The stable felt smaller now, tighter, almost suffocating. "You can't hide from the land," the sheriff had said, and those words pressed against Cole's chest with every heartbeat. He turned back to the boys. Micah lay pale and shivering, wrapped in a threadbare blanket. Jace knelt beside him, jaw tight, eyes sharp, scanning the shadows. Cole crouched, running a hand along the boy's arm. "It's not just him," he said quietly. "It's the whole place. Every yard, every fence, every tree, it belongs to someone who wants control. Jace's eyes narrowed. We're already marked. Doesn't matter what you say. Cole shook his head slowly. It matters tonight. Doesn't matter if the law bends, if the men who take children like you hold sway. Right now, you're with me. With you? Jace echoed, voice sharp. That's not enough. Cole's lips pressed together. It has to be. Because there's no other safe place out there. Not for you. Not for him. Not for me if I let them take you again. The wind rattled the barn walls, a low, mournful whistle. Micah coughed, tiny and hollow, and Jace pressed closer. We've run before, he said, voice trembling. And it didn't help. Cole studied the boy's eyes, seeing the fear that had hardened him, the exhaustion of running through towns that weren't safe. Then this time, we don't run. We stay. We fight in the corners we can control. Jace's shoulders sagged slightly, a flicker of trust, or maybe desperation. And if they come? Cole leaned back against the stall, arms crossed. Then we meet them before they reach us. Not after. We set the rules, however small they are, however fragile. The smaller boy whined softly, and Cole's hand went to his shoulder, steadying him. We start here, Cole said, voice low. We make sure he lives, even if the rest of the world is against us. Jace's gaze shifted to the cracked wood of the barn walls, imagining eyes everywhere. The sheriff, he whispered. Cole shook his head. He's part of it. But tonight, he doesn't matter. We control what we can. Outside, the wind tugged at the barn doors, carrying dust and memory, the faint echo of authority that had shaped this land for decades. Cole's eyes swept the shadows, every corner, every dark patch, measuring. We're marked, Jace said quietly, almost a whisper. Yes, Cole agreed. But tonight, not here. Not inside these walls. Not while we breathe. Micah coughed again, and Jace brushed damp hair from his face, tense but protective. Cole's eyes softened, scanning the two boys. We stay. We survive. We hold this place, however fragile it is. Jace pressed closer to Micah, body taut. Then we start with him, he murmured. Not running, not hiding. Cole's lips pressed into a firm line. Not today, he said. Not tonight. The stable settled into quiet that felt heavy but alive. Dust shifted with the wind. Shadows lengthened and twisted. But for the first time, Cole felt like they had a corner of the world under their control, however small. We hold it, he said again, voice low and steady. Because the land doesn't own us. Not yet. Outside, the wind whispered, carrying the faint weight of memory, power, and fear, but inside, three figures braced together, marking the beginning of what they could protect. Cole moved quietly through the stable, boots barely making a sound on the worn wood. The morning light filtered in through narrow slats, throwing long stripes across the hay. Micah stirred again, weak but persistent, and Jace pressed a hand to his back, steadying him. He's still burning, Jace said softly. Cole nodded, crouching beside the small boy. We've got to keep him steady, he murmured, voice low. Keep him alive. Jace's eyes met his, sharp and wary. You think it's enough? That we can hold him? Cole didn't answer immediately. He brushed a damp lock of hair from Micah's forehead. We have to, he said finally. The older boy swallowed, jaw tight. They'll come, he said. They always do. Cole stood, leaning against the stall door. Then we make sure they don't, he said, tone low but firm. Outside, the wind pushed through the cracks in the barn walls, rattling them like teeth. You ever been marked? Jace asked quietly, voice barely audible. Cole's eyes flicked to the older boy. Once, he admitted. A long time ago. Made me who I am today. Jace's shoulders stiffened. Then you know how it feels. Cole nodded slowly. More than you think. But I won't let it happen again. Micah whimpered, shifting slightly, and Jace pressed closer, murmuring softly. Cole watched him, feeling the pull of responsibility tighten around his chest. They mark more than skin, Jace said, voice trembling. They take names. Hands. Futures. Cole's jaw tightened. Then we protect what we can. How? Jace's voice rose slightly, frustration breaking through. We can't outrun them forever. Cole crouched beside him, voice calm but firm. We don't have to. Not yet. Not while he lives. We hold what matters here. Jace's gaze dropped to Micah, eyes softening. And if they come? Cole stood, shifting his weight, eyes scanning the rafters, the hay bales, every corner of the stable. Then we meet them before they get to him. Not after. That's all we can do tonight. The smaller boy coughed again, low and hollow. Cole rubbed his back slowly, steadying him. Easy, he whispered. Jace pressed a hand to Micah's chest rising and falling unevenly. We start with him, Cole said, voice low. Everything else waits. Jace's jaw loosened slightly. You're serious, he said. Cole's eyes held his, firm and unyielding. Dead serious. I'm not leaving. The wind rattled the barn doors again, carrying dust and old memories. Shadows shifted across the walls, twisting and stretching. Cole exhaled slowly, voice low, resolute. We hold this place. Together. Nothing else matters. Jace's hand lingered on Micah's shoulder, protective and steady. The small boy's breathing evened, faint but strong. Cole glanced at the two of them, feeling the fragile thread of trust finally taking hold. The stable was quiet, heavy with the weight of survival, fear, and the beginnings of hope. Outside, the land waited, but inside, Cole, Jace, and Micah held their ground, holding each other in a fragile, stubborn defiance. Cole stood by the stall, hands resting on the edge of the hay, watching Micah's shallow breathing. The small boy's skin was hot, damp with sweat, and Jace sat beside him, still intense, hand pressed to his brother's chest. We can't let him burn out, Jace muttered, voice low. Cole shook his head slowly. No. We keep him alive. That's all that matters right now. The wind rattled the barn walls, carrying a low, hollow whistle through the slats. Shadows shifted along the rafters, long and thin, as if reaching for them. Jace's eyes flicked to the darkness. You feel that? He asked. Cole nodded. Yeah. The stable's alive with it. But it doesn't touch him. Not while we hold him. Micah coughed softly, and Cole rubbed his back, slow and steady. Easy, he whispered. Just breathe. Jace pressed closer, brushing damp hair from the small boy's forehead. Why stay? He asked suddenly, voice raw. Why not walk away, like everyone else? Cole's jaw tightened. Because I can't. Not anymore. Not after everything I've seen. Jace's shoulders tensed. Seen what? Cole exhaled, voice low. Men taking what's not theirs. Children like him, like you. People who think the land gives them ownership. Micah whimpered softly, and Jace pressed a finger to his lips. Cole crouched, steadying the boy's arm. We keep him here. We hold him. That's all that matters. Jace swallowed hard, voice barely audible. And if they come? Cole's gaze lifted to the stable doors, narrowing. Then we meet them before they do. Not after. Tonight, it's ours to protect him. Outside, the wind tugged at the barn doors again, rattling the boards, carrying dust and faint echoes of the world beyond. Shadows shifted across the floor, stretching long and sharp. I've never trusted anyone like this before, Jace muttered. Cole's eyes softened slightly, meeting the boys. Then trust me. Just tonight. That's enough. Micah stirred, a low whine escaping his lips. Cole rubbed his back, steadying him, breathing slow and measured. Jace pressed closer to his brother, protective and alert. We start here, Cole said, voice low but firm. Nothing else matters. Jace nodded slowly, eyes bright with tension and a trace of hope. Cole glanced at the two of them, scanning every shadow, every corner of the stable. We hold this place, he said, voice low, deliberate. Together. The land doesn't own us. Not tonight. Micah's breathing began to even, faint but steady. The stable settled into quiet, dust shifting with the wind. Shadows lingered in the rafters, but inside, 3 figures formed a fragile bastion of survival. Cole exhaled, shoulders heavy but resolute. We survived tonight, he whispered. That's all that matters. Jace's hand lingered on Micah's shoulder, steady, grounding. The small boy shifted, comforted by the presence of the 2 older ones. The wind outside whispered through the cracks, carrying dust, memory, and the weight of unseen eyes. But inside, Cole, Jace, and Micah held the stable together, a quiet defiance against the world pressing in, a stubborn insistence on life, protection, and fragile trust. Cole stayed near the hay, boots pressing into the dirt floor, listening to the shallow breaths of the boys. Micah's fever had broken slightly, but his skin was still flushed, and every small cough made Jace tense. He's lighter, Cole murmured, brushing damp hair from the smaller boy's forehead. Jace's hand hovered for a moment before settling, protective and certain. You really mean it? You won't leave, he asked, voice low, almost unsure. Cole met his eyes steadily. Not tonight. Not while he's here. Not while you're here. Outside, the wind rattled the barn doors, carrying the scent of dust, sweat, and something sharper, older, like memory pressing in from the land beyond. Jace's gaze flicked toward the shadows creeping along the rafters. It feels alive, he said quietly, tone tense. Cole nodded. It remembers everything. Every footstep, every scream, every hand raised to take what isn't theirs. Micah stirred, a weak whine escaping him. Cole crouched, steadying him with a careful hand. Easy, he whispered. We're here. You're safe, for now. Jace pressed closer to his brother, fingers gripping the blanket. We're marked, he muttered, voice sharp. Cole shook his head slowly. Tonight, not here. Not inside these walls. The older boy's eyes searched his face. You're serious? Dead serious, Cole said, voice low, firm. We hold what matters. Nothing else. The stable settled into a quiet tension, the kind that hangs heavy after storms, waiting for the next tremor. Shadows shifted slowly across the hay-strewn floor, twisting like fingers in the pale morning light. Jace swallowed, voice trembling slightly. And if they come? Cole's gaze swept the corners, every dark patch of the stable, every crack in the walls. Then we meet them before they get to him. Not after. That's all we can do tonight. Micah coughed softly again, and Cole rubbed his back in measured circles, grounding him. Easy, he said. Jace's hand lingered on the small boy's chest, protective and steady. Cole's eyes scanned the 2 of them, seeing the fear, the desperation, the fragile thread of trust forming in the dim light. We start with him, he said quietly. Everything else waits. The wind rattled the barn doors again, carrying faint echoes of the world outside, dust and memory pressing through. Jace exhaled slowly, shoulders dropping just a fraction. You mean it? He asked. I do, Cole said firmly. I'm not leaving. Not now. Not ever if it comes to this. The stable breathed around them, quiet but alive, the weight of survival pressing close. Dust shifted in the shafts of light, shadows pooling in the corners. Cole exhaled slowly, voice low and steady. We hold this place. Together. Nothing else matters. Micah's breathing began to even, faint but strong. Jace's hand stayed pressed on his brother, grounding him, steadying both of them. Cole watched, resolute, feeling the fragile bastion of trust and protection forming around the 3 of them. Outside, the wind whispered through the cracks in the barn walls, carrying dust, old memory, and the faint weight of authority. Inside, they held each other, defiant and unbroken.